Planes still grounded, airports still empty, but change is on the horizon, with the Prime Minister today offering more detail on his roadmap out of lockdown.
We set out our roadmap and we're sticking in it. And I want to stress that we see nothing in the present data that makes us think that we will have to deviate from that roadmap.
Foremost in many minds were foreign holidays.
We're hopeful, but I do not wish to give hostages to fortune.
But despite the cautious tone, a new plan was revealed today. Foreign holidays could begin again as early as May the 17th, but there will be different travel rules for different destinations based on the COVID levels in those countries. And those rules will be set out in a traffic light system. Green will mean getting a test as you leave and re-enter the UK. Amber will mean quarantining at home on your return. Red will mean quarantining at a hotel.
Remember what to do with the 12 most.
Alongside the vaccine rollout, testing will be central to lockdown easing, with the government making 2 rapid COVID tests a week available for those in England from next Friday.
It's been of massive use to us in fighting the disease, and I think that lateral flow testing will be of great advantage to us all as we go forward.
As planned, April the 12th will see much of England's high street open its doors again, including gyms, hairdressers and libraries. Pubs and restaurants will be able to serve customers outside. And all of this, the government says, because the numbers are heading in the right direction. Or are they? One document drawing attention today was not as positive, predicting a COVID spike in late summer, meaning some measures, including social distancing, could remain in place until next year. There was also more detail on how so-called vaccine passports or COVID status certificates will be used.
Obviously, we're looking at it. We want to be going ahead in the next few weeks with some test events, some pilot events. But I want to stress again that that is not going to happen in step 2, April the 12th, or step 3, May the 17th.
Some reassurance for businesses who have pushed back against COVID certificates being compulsory, but still no promises from the Prime Minister on whether this could change in the future.
We'd urge the government to go with the data. The vaccine is working, the rollout is happening quickly, cases are coming down. That in itself is all you need to be able to reopen hospitality safely and to remove those restrictions on the 21st of June, not a passport for a pint.
Labour has warned tonight that the UK's borders are still not secure enough given the threat of new variants, and they also called for more financial support for people who need to self-isolate, saying that without these measures the progress that has been made could now be wiped out.
Well, let's go back to Professor Sir Mark Walport. Again, I wanted to ask you about that document Liz was talking about from the SPI-M advisors to the government, making clear that if we go back to normal, hospital admissions could exceed the spring peak last year. Does that mean that, you know, social distancing and mask wearing is with us for the foreseeable future, if not forever?
Well, I mean, I think that that was looking at the effect of the different phases of the relaxation of measures. And after the last phase, which would end in June, if you took off literally all the breaks, then there would definitely be the possibility of a further wave of infection. And they make the point in the document, and it is a modelling document, it's projections, it's not predictions, that there may well need to be some baseline measures which would continue to have a dramatic effect in keeping the numbers down. So we're doing very well, but it does come down to the mantra that's been repeated, which is data, not dates. And as part of the assessment of the rollout programme, the relaxation rather, vaccine uptake is going to be important, going back to the last discussion we had a few minutes ago. The presence of the new variants and the effects that they may have on the effectiveness of vaccine. It's all the reasons that we've really got to continue to be cautious as the rollout goes on.
And the charts also make clear that a third wave is really an inevitability. It's just the size of that wave. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, there's 2 aspects to that. There's the number of infections and, of course, what happens as a consequence of those infections. And so what we're seeing with the vaccines is that the number of people ending up in hospital, the number of deaths is likely to be lower. So we're likely to have more cases. That seems to be almost certain. But
Right.
hopefully, with the most vulnerable protected, then we'll see much less in the way of clinical adverse effects.
So does the government need to be clear and honest with people that actually the idea, given that those figures that you've been referring to, the idea of foreign holidays this summer are just off the table?
Well, I think that the government are being very cautious about it. And I mean, they're introducing a traffic light system, and we don't know the details of that yet. But, you know, the critical thing is to hold back the new variants from getting into the UK as far as we can. We won't be able to stop this happening eventually, but if we can hold it back, we know that new vaccines, sort of the next phase of the vaccines are being developed that will be hopefully more active against these new variants. And so, you know, we have got to be cautious. But nevertheless, the state of the infection in the UK at the moment is very, very good. And we've only got to look across the channel to see what happens if you don't get good control. There are more than 39,000 cases a day on average in France at the moment. So the vaccines really do matter.
Professor Sir Mark Walport, thank you very much for joining us.